This week on America and the Courts, speeches by Justices Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Stephen Breyer. Both of these justices were appointed to the court by President Clinton. In August, Justice Breyer celebrated his second year on the court, and Justice Ginsburg celebrated her third. Coming up in 25 minutes, we'll feature Justice Breyer at the University of Connecticut Law School. The school was celebrating the dedication of a new law library. Justice Breyer talks about the importance of law books and receives an honorary degree. But first, we'll feature a speech by Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She spoke earlier this month at the B'nai B'rith Organization's Fall Convention. Justice Ginsburg speaks for the next 25 minutes about Jewish justices who have served on the Supreme Court. Now, introductory remarks about Justice Ginsburg.
Thank you. Thank you, Richard. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. As a lawyer and a B'nai B'rith member, it is a great honor for me to introduce Justice Ginsburg. Justice Ginsburg is a pioneer, not only because she has set an example by being the second woman and the first Jewish woman to be appointed to our nation's highest court, but because she has truly been a pathfinder for women's rights. A graduate of Cornell University, Justice Ginsburg received her Juris Doctorate degree from Columbia Law School. She taught law at Rutgers University from 1963 to 1972 and was also a professor at Columbia University, Harvard University, and many other respected institutions around the world. In the 1970s, Justice Ginsburg became an important and potent ally in the fight for women's rights. In 1971, she was instrumental in launching the Women's Rights Project of the American Civil Liberties Union, and throughout the decade, she litigated a series of cases succeeding in solidifying a constitutional principle against gender-based discrimination. In 1980, President Carter recognized Justice Ginsburg's excellence and appointed her to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit, where she served until 1993. That year, President Clinton appointed Justice Ginsburg to the Supreme Court. Justice Ginsburg's distinguished career has been an inspiring example, but she has not led only by example. She has paved the way for generations of women to follow, not necessarily in her footsteps, but whatever path they wish to pursue. Today, young women can not only dream of being a firefighter, a doctor, a high school principal, even a Supreme Court justice, they can achieve it. I might also mention that among Justice Ginsburg's many achievements, she is also a proud grandmother, and her 10-year-old grandson has accompanied her here today. It is now my pleasure to introduce the Honorable Ruth Bader Ginsburg, along with our President, Tommy Barrett.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate the kind words just said about me by Bruce Coane, but I know that more than anything else, it was good fortune, mazel, that gained for me the job I now hold. An old story is in point. It is a story many of you know. I've told it before, and it comes in many versions. The version, I will tell you, was told to me by a good friend and colleague at Harvard Law School, Martha Minow, and her version comes from a favorite uncle. The story takes place in the Middle Ages in the walled city of Verona. Like most walled cities, Verona had a wall around it. Over time, the populations inside the wall grew, and the city became overcrowded. The problem from this circumstance mounted until one day, the bishop decided that something had to be done. He called a meeting with the chief rabbi. This conversation ensued. The bishop said, "The overcrowding in Verona has become unbearable